Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Atlanta Gladiators podcast. Liam Gotimer here, and alongside me is Brayden Crowder. Bray, welcome to the Atlanta Gladiators podcast, and welcome back to the Gladiators.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for coming on. And let's start off there, Bray. Of course, you get traded to the Gladiators in the middle
Yeah.
of last season, coming over from the Cincinnati Cyclones. How was that transition for you going from Cincinnati to Atlanta?
Yeah, so obviously Cincinnati was somewhat home to me where I went to school, Miami University, just 30 minutes from there. So that was a very familiar territory to me. But then switching to Atlanta, Georgia, I had never been before. You
Yeah.
know, it's an airport you come through and never get out at for me. So I had never really heard much about the city until I got there and started to experience what Atlanta was all about, and honestly fell in love with it right away. And I love Atlanta. I'm so excited to come back. The transition was great. Obviously, having Coach Pyle and the rest of the guys there, like some of the veterans, just take me in, and it was made the transition super, super easy. Yeah, I think it's a great spot, and I cannot wait for this upcoming season to get going.
Awesome, man. Obviously, you come in, you play under Coach Pyle, but not only him, under Derek Nesbitt as well,
Yeah.
who during your time, brief time with
Mhm.
Atlanta last season, was an assistant coach. Going
Yeah.
into this upcoming year, he's going to be head coach. What did you learn under him, during your brief time with the Glads?
Yeah, I think he brings some fresh perspective to the game, just being a younger guy and having um, gotten out of the game so recently, just the year before. So I think he's going to bring some new perspective, some nice young energy, and I'm super excited for kind of what he has to say when it comes to the X's and O's part of the game. But I know from the other standpoint of just a human being, he's a great guy, and I would do anything for him. So. Yeah.
Awesome. And on that note, you played under Jason Payne in
Yeah.
Cincinnati, who was also a player turned coach like Derek Nesbitt. He was
Mhm.
also one of the youngest coaches in the ECHL. So,
Yeah.
how do you think that will prepare you for learning under Nezzy, just playing under Jason like you did in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think the new era of coaching style is definitely more personable and more relationship based when it comes to the player coach. And not saying that Pyler wasn't that, because he was. I love everything about Pyler. But I think, yeah, just having Painter and then switching to Nezzy here, it's going to be great to build rapport, and it won't be so much the fearing your coach. It'll be, growing with them together, and then obviously helping him grow, because this will be his first year as a head coach as well. So we're just here to help each other learn and grow and catch some wins at the end of the day.
For sure. I love the insight. And
Yeah.
just onto your on ice performance, you broke into that lineup pretty quickly after joining the Gladiators. How do you personally feel like your game developed from when you went to Atlanta up until the end of the season?
Yeah, I think the South is definitely one of the toughest divisions, if not the most toughest. And I think you definitely got to be a lot more physical, a lot of good players. So I think just utilizing my length and size to my advantage and just being able to shut down the other teams defensively and really help my team break out of our own end and then produce more offense.
For sure.
Yeah.
And let's just backtrack a little bit. Where are you calling me from right now?
Uh, well, so I'm Canadian, born and raised in Northern Ontario, but I spend my summers in California, here in San Diego. So just because the my girlfriend's from here and the weather's really hard to beat. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Awesome. What's your off-season routine like as you prepare for the season?
yeah. So obviously training and skating, a bunch of that, and really doing everything I can and just be ready come the next season. But in my off time, I like to spend a lot of time golfing and surfing here in San Diego.
Mhm. Oh, awesome. Well, a
Yeah.
surfer, I like that.
Yeah.
Now we'll get into some fan questions here, and we'll start
Yeah.
off for Karen at Run with K on Twitter. A little bit similar to the question I asked you before,
Yeah.
but she asks, what are some areas that you feel you will have the most impact defensively on the defensive
Mhm.
side of this puck specifically going into next season? I know you spoke a little bit about
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
reach, but if you
No,
want to
it's a great question, Karen. And obviously, yeah, I'm a big guy. So everyone thinks big guy, like be physical and break up a lot of plays with my long reach and my long stick. So I think that'll be a good point to start at, and then being able to grow out from there. And I think I'm a pretty mobile defenseman as well, with some good puck moving ability. So I think I'll be able to produce some offense starting from the defensive zone. So I think that's some ways I can definitely help our team.
Awesome. And we
Yeah.
also have a staff question
Okay.
for you.
Yeah.
People on our staff want to know what's it like playing in a robust Atlanta market compared to Cincinnati,
Mhm.
like we spoke about earlier, or Wichita, of course, where you
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot different. I would compare it a little to Cincinnati, but definitely much more amplified on a bigger scale. Being in a major sports market, being also having an MLB, NFL, and then NBA in Atlanta. I think it's amazing. The city supports sports a lot. You can tell there's a lot of passion and a lot of energy around it. Just playing in front of the fans, and I think it makes the city much more enjoyable as well. I went to a couple of Braves games, and it just everything as a whole. It seems everything helps each other out. So I love it personally. Yeah.
So you look around and you see most of the players that are signed for next year outside of Cody Sylvester were
Yeah.
also first-year players last year. You look at Dylan
Mhm.
Carabia, Tyler Harmon, Mitch Walensky. What's it like from your perspective, also as a first-year player last year,
Mhm.
just seeing that this is the direction the Gladiators are going in, the influx of youth and trying to really establish the team around players that are new to the league?
Yeah, I think the game's changing, and I think young guys, it's a speed game. So having a lot of young guys fresh out of college, they're ready to go. A lot of those younger guys you just mentioned made a huge impact last year. Harm's got a shutout, Grab's a great D-man, Wally, he was able to make an impact right away as well. So I think having a lot of young guys will bring a lot of energy and good vibes, I think, to the team. And hopefully we'll be able to do something with them and hopefully develop as a team. And we're hoping to get a lot better every day. And end of the day, win a lot of games and make playoffs.
For sure. And on that note, I wanted to ask you about your time at the University of Miami, Ohio, and just what's it like for you coming from a D1 program and
Mhm.
transitioning to the ECHL? Did you feel like it took you some time? Do you feel like it was a little bit seamless? Were the games just completely different in the style? How did you see that?
Yeah, for sure. So playing in the NCHC was the conference we played in, was definitely one of the more skillful divisions or conferences, I'd say. But college was, I'd say, a much more fast-paced, like maybe dump chase kind of style, where maybe the pro game was slowed down a little more control, puck possession, and more skillful play. So there's definitely a transition to that aspect, but I thought I already had some of those skill sets in my toolkit. So it made the transition a little more easy, but there was definitely a transition, that I don't have schoolwork to do in the free time and all that stuff. So finding what to fill my time with, but obviously a busy schedule helped with that. But there was definitely a little bit of transition in that aspect, but I think I love it. And I had a great 4 years in Miami, but I was ready for the next step. And yeah,
Awesome. Well, everyone, Brayden Crowder, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the
yeah,
Atlanta Gladiators podcast, and we'll talk soon.
yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Atlanta Gladiators podcast. Liam Gotimer here, Director of Broadcast and Communications for the Gladiators. Alongside me is Gladiators defenseman Dylan Carabia. Dylan, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining me, and welcome back to the Glads.
Thank you. It's exciting to be heading back to Atlanta here in a couple months, and really looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting time. So, where are you calling from right now?
I'm in Vero Beach, Florida. So this is where I grew up and went to high school, and my family's down here, and I come spend the summers down here in Vero. So it's hot out for sure, but it's nice being around family.
It's weird, I just went up to North Carolina to see family myself, and it's 99 degrees in Atlanta, 95 degrees here, and I bet it's even hotter where you're at in Florida. So
Oh yeah.
definitely a
Oh
huge heat wave coming through the southern part of the United States. But Dylan, take me through your off-season regimen. What do you do right when the season ends up until now? How's that going for you?
So honestly, about the first month or so, I took some time off the ice, and started working full time down here at a country club, and was in the gym rehabbing my shoulder a bit. And then I also referee. So I was reffing a ton of men's league games, which is fun, and it's a good way to stay on the ice and get a good sweat in here and there. But then this last couple of weeks, I've been, or last couple of months, I should say, been getting on the ice quite a bit more, 2 to 3 times a week, alongside reffing and working and mixing in the gym as well. So it's busy weeks, and but it's good because they fly by, and before you know it, it'll be time to hit the road back to Atlanta. So just
Awesome.
thinking about that is gets you through those tougher days and whatnot. But I love every part of it.
Sounds like you're keeping busy. That's awesome. So let's backtrack a little bit. Obviously, this past season, your first year as a pro in the ECHL, what was the transition like, at least early on, going from playing collegiately at Salve Regina University to, of course, going to the Glads?
Yeah, I thought it was everyone was that much better than the previous level I was at. There was no weak links per se. Everyone was bigger, stronger, faster. The passing's better. Everyone's shots a little more dangerous. So you have to take all that into account and just kind of adapt, which I felt like I did a pretty good job of. Over the course of the year, was just adapting to the game and how I can, translate my game into into the ECHL. But it's a process, and continue to do that this next year, and hopefully contribute even more.
And sandwiched in between your time in college and your time with the Gladiators, you spent the year in the SPHL with the Pensacola Ice Flyers, had a great statistical season there, got some awards at the end of the year as well. How was that 1 year in the SPHL, and how did that help get you ready for the next level?
It was awesome. It was a really good year for just getting my reps in. I spent a lot of different times in different situations. Power play, penalty kill, 5-on-5. I did everything, which was really good, and I think I built a lot of confidence in my game. And luckily, that's translated a bit. I didn't have a ton of points this past year, but I'm a defenseman. I understand that they'll come, and I've been working on some stuff this summer to hopefully, interject some more offense into my game this year, and see how that works out.
Awesome. And on that note, 6 out of the 7 players that have been signed for the Gladiators up to this point are young guys. I believe 5 of them are just coming back for their second year. 4 of them are coming back for their second year. And then you have 2 coming straight out of college. How's that for you to just be a part of such a young group, being young and, a little bit new to the ECHL yourself?
It's good. It's a lot of us have similar interests and whatnot, and some of us have even played against each other in college or maybe in the year prior. So it's good. It's good for off ice camaraderie as well. But I'm sure we'll blend well with some of our older guys, some of our core leaders. So that's good, and just keeps things fresh in the locker room. And keeps the intensity up for sure. Everyone's got a lot of energy, and which is great.
Absolutely. And earlier in the offseason, Derek Nesbitt was named the 6th head coach in Atlanta Gladiators history. What did you learn from playing under him? Of course, he was an assistant this past year, his first year behind the bench. How was that during your brief time learning under him last season? And what are you looking forward to this upcoming year in season 1 for Derek?
It was great. Coach Nesbitt and I, and along with some other guys, we did a lot of, skates, maybe some scratch skates and whatnot like that. So he put us through some different skills and drills and some different conditioning things, so we were staying up to par with the guys that were in the games at the moment. So that was really cool. He's very knowledgeable in that sense of, things to work on and these little tweaks to your game that can really make big improvements. So I'm really looking forward to have him behind the bench and to see how his different practice plans are, and kind of see what kind of philosophy that he brings to coaching, and how he wants us to play, and and just learning from him every day, and from all the other guys, because you can learn from your teammates, from your goalies to your coaches, which is great. So it'll be great to have him there again, and in an even bigger role.
Well said, for sure. Thank you for that. And we'll now transition to some social media questions. And let's start off on Twitter. Karen asks, what are some areas that you feel like you can improve upon, specifically on the defensive side of the puck going into next year?
I think I could definitely be a little more physical, maybe a little more tougher, like in front of our net and in the corners, just winning more puck battles, and making that first pass out of the zone. So going in there, making contact, separating the man from the puck, getting that puck, and then moving it to our forwards and letting them attack up the ice and break out, which will make our job as defensemen much easier.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And Nate also on Twitter, he asks, how was the first season in Atlanta for you? I know we kind of glossed over that in the beginning, but of course, being in Atlanta, completely new area, new league, like we spoke about earlier, just for you personally, how was that?
It was great. I really had no complaints. I liked the town a lot. There's not a lot going on, but there's enough. You're close to one of the biggest cities in America, which is great. But you're not too close, right? So it was a good mix of things. Playing in the South Division was great because obviously you don't have to really deal with too much winter's things, but playing in front of family and friends in Atlanta, and having them being able to come there, which is convenient for most people with the airport and stuff. So it was great, and then the fans obviously were spectacular. It was really fun coming to Gas South Arena every time, and seeing everyone out there. So I'm really looking forward to being back there.
That's awesome. We're excited to have you back for sure. And we'll switch over to Instagram now. And Caleb asked a little bit of a fun one here. So you're from Florida, but what's your favorite NHL team? Is it Panthers, Lightning? Where are we at? Somewhere different?
So I was born in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Okay.
And I lived there until I was about 5 or 6 years old, and that's when we moved down to Florida, actually. So I've grown up a Washington Capitals fan, and I still am. So
all right,
gotta stick with them.
Very good, very good. Well, Dylan Carabia, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Atlanta Gladiators podcast, and we'll talk to you as soon as we gear up towards the 23-24 season.
Awesome. Thanks, Liam. Have a good one, buddy.